stories. And it's like Mitt Romney. The 47%, man, they know they took him out of context. Because there was a whole story to that 47% comment, and they just eliminated the rest of the story. But I'm not going to change my tactics or my ways. I mean, this is just who I am. People relate to stories, so I tell stories. I make it interesting for them. Now, I don't try to aggrandize or anything like that. I just tell a story. Story is, I got friends, for that we used to play we used to have a turkey bowl every Thanksgiving Day. We'd go out there and play for 2 or 3 hours, play football. Yeah, as we got older, we were out of shape and things like that. And but rarely, I think the most serious injury that we had was one year. A friend of mine, he cracked his shoulder blade. That was it. We played for years, all throughout high school and everything. Nobody got hurt. I mean, there's, you can get hurt by just twisting your ankle. There were a few, twisted ankles and knees, but that's even when you're playing with pads and everything. We played full-on tackle football. And we've only had one major injury, and out of all those years, it was just a cracked shoulder bone. Cracked shoulder, that was it. And the next year, he was out, Jim was out there playing just as hard as he ever did. But so it's not like we were dangerous or doing crazy dangerous stuff, but now guys have just gotten older in families, and they stopped taking care of themselves. That's all I'm saying. But we don't need government to tell us to take care of ourselves. We really don't, to tell us how. It's not a reason for Nanny Doomberg and Nanny Menino to jump on the bandwagon. And I'm going to press this when I see my friends. Look, you guys need to get healthier because Obamacare is here, and you're in danger. Your health and life is in danger. And many of my friends, they still have young kids. Because they started having kids later in life, or some of them, I don't know how they do it, but they have like 3, 4, and 5, and I know one friend that has 6 kids. How the hell do you guys do that nowadays? I mean, really? So they have multiple kids. But God bless them if you can find a way to figure out a way to afford to have 6 kids in this day and age. But yeah. I'm going to press that they need to take better. You need to take better care of yourself. All you listeners out there, really, and not just because of Obamacare, but just for yourself, so you live a good quality of life for as long as possible. But now the added incentive is Obamacare. Think about it, folks. The added incentive to have a health. I'm not talking about eating nothing but granola and rabbit food for the rest of your life, but paying more attention to what you eat. Now, I know that I went to San Francisco and I talked about eating the stuff that I ate. I mean, some of the stuff was just crap, In-N-Out Burger and Smash Burger. But and at the airport in Newark, New Jersey, Newark Airport. I don't remember the name of the joint, but they advertise as having a souvlaki. Now, I love Greek food, and souvlaki is supposed to come with tzatziki, which is a cucumber yogurt garlic sauce, and it's supposed to be made out of either beef or lamb, most likely lamb. It was dried out, poorly spiced chicken. And that crap cost me like $8. It was awful. They gave me 5 little wooden skewers of that junk, and I didn't even eat one skewer. It was that bad. And might I add that the French fries and In-N-Out Burger, what did they do with those things? You see them make them, but it was like almost like, what are those snack, those snack fries with Andy Capp on the front, hot fries. It was like eating hot fries, but without the spices. I was not impressed with In-N-Out Burger. I'm sorry. I know there's people that love In-N-Out Burger. I personally was not impressed. The burger was not great. It was overrated in my book. The French fry, I don't know what were they cooked in? Because they tasted like bland hot fries to me. And that's just my personal opinion. I wasn't too particularly thrilled. with In-N-Out Burger, but a lot of people are. So great. You go in, I'm not going to say you can't have it, but you really got to pay more. If you're going on vacation, or going to like the state fair or something, eating that stuff once in a while is not going to kill you. But you wouldn't know that if you were listening to people like Tom Menino, mayor of Boston, or Michael Bloomberg, mayor of New York City, or a few other mayors across this country that run liberal cities. It's ridiculous. I'm surprised they even allowed In-N-Out Burger in San Francisco. Really am. Man, I don't even think, that Newark thing, I don't even think homeless people would have eaten that crap. That was just awful. Maybe I just got a bad batch or something, but it was terrible. Not to mention, you're waiting in an airport for a connection flight. You don't want to have bad food because you're about to get on an airplane. Last thing you need is to have bad food and it upsets your stomach. You can't be on an airplane with an upset stomach. It's just not good for the other passengers, for one, and it's definitely not good for you. Can you? Oh man, can't imagine. Hey, because you try to take. You can't take too many dumps on an airplane, man. They've only got so many little bathrooms in there, and you can quickly stink out your passengers, and there's no place to go. Speaking of dumping, man, I wouldn't want to be. That's when you got to pay attention to the airplane configuration when you have the ability to choose where you want to sit. You don't want to sit over the wings because you can't see, unless you're the type of person that doesn't really like flying or you don't care about looking out the window and seeing the sights. You don't sit over the wings, even though sitting over the wings is one of the safest places in the airplane because it's just one of the strongest spots in the airplane because it has to be reinforced because of the wings. But you don't want to sit over the wings, and you don't want to sit in the first few rows nearest to the bathrooms. That you don't, because some passengers, man, when they go in there, and they take a dump, it is going to be bad news when they come out. It really is. So I didn't have much of a choice where my seats were on the return flight, but it was over the wing, so I missed seeing the Rockies in midday. However, speaking of dumps, the wealthy are dumping their assets amid worries about going over the fiscal cliff. For many of the wealthy, 2012 is becoming a good year to sell. They're worried about the fiscal cliff, the money cliff, which is when tax cuts expire and spending cuts are set to go into effect at the end of the year, and other tax increases will take place, such as those that are hidden within Obamacare. And also, not to mention, now, people don't realize this, but understand this, folks. You are about to get a quadruple whammy. And what is the quadruple whammy? Massive cuts, especially in defense spending, but not in other areas of spending in our federal government. The Bush tax cuts expiring. Yes, Bush tax cuts expiring. Going back up. Increased taxes, hidden taxes in Obamacare coming into play, as well as the Social Security tax cut also expiring and Social Security taxes going back up. That's a quadruple whammy, folks. It is going to shove this country back into a recession so hard. Now, fearing an increase in capital gains and dividend taxes, many of the rich are unloading stocks, businesses, and homes before the end of the year. Now, this is also going to have a drag on the value of certain assets like homes as more of this stuff becomes available, so the supply increases. So it's going to drag down the value of some of these assets in certain areas. And even for business people, if there are a lot of businesses for sale and people can pick and choose, well, that's going to bring the value of your business down too a little bit. Now, wealth advisors say that with the capital gains taxes potentially going to 25% from 15%, and other possible increases in the dividend tax, estate tax, and other taxes, many clients are selling now to save millions in taxes. Now, it has nothing to do with them being greedy, as they would have you believe. Rich people are greedy. Look, they made that money, as Bobby Brown said way back in the day in one of his songs. You didn't. And most Americans who are wealthy, they made their money the hard way. They earned it. They worked for it. They started a business, and they're not glamorous business people. They're not movie stars. And I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, you cannot convince me that you're worth a $25 million payday for making a movie. You're just not. Well, man, those movies just make so much money, right? Well, yeah, I know. But look, there are more than just 5 people, 5 stars making a movie. Some of these the reason why the budgets are so big is because they got to have a lot of other people work on the film. Those people aren't getting rich. But it's ridiculous to even think that a person who starts a business, or they buy one, they put their money into it, and they buy a business, that they're not entitled to make a good profit and keep that profit. And that's just insane. And that if they die, and this is like farmers used to get hit hard on this one. A farmer's not wealthy, family farm, but they'll get hit with an estate tax because their estate is worth, $1 million or $2 million because of all the property. And now government wants their money. They don't care that you don't have the cash. They just know the value of your estate. They say, well, we want 50, 60% of it. You got to give it to us. And these families have to end up selling just about everything to pay Uncle Sam. That's just wrong. You've already been taxed. Listen, folks. I know some of you out there in the sound of my voice, you're all for estate taxes. But let me tell you something. You have already paid taxes on the money that went to buy that investment. You've paid taxes on that money multiple times, most likely. It's kind of like buying a car. I know. Well, I could tell you in New York State, it's the biggest ripoff there is. You have to pay a sales tax when you buy the car brand new. And then if you sell the car, whoever buys the car from you has to pay sales tax. And if they sell the car again, that new person, that third owner, has to pay sales tax on that same car. Not to mention there have been taxes built into this thing because, there are all kinds of different taxes on all the different parts that go into it. By the time that car sees unless it's a one-owner car, but by the time that car sees the end of the line and it's in a junkyard somewhere and gets disassembled and somebody wants to buy a part from that car, now they're paying a tax on that part. This is the same thing with estate taxes, folks. I mean, they've been paying taxes all along in this. They probably paid taxes to buy it. They paid taxes when they paid for services to maintain it, to keep it, property taxes, income tax, all kinds of taxes. And then when they die, they still got to give up 50, 60% of its value, even if they don't have the cash. So now they got to sell it. And then when they sell it, there are sales taxes that are going to be incurred, plus the estate tax. This is insane. Well, they're the rich, Rod. They can afford it. No, they cannot. There are a lot of rich people who are only rich on paper. That doesn't count. But the government sees it and says, well, yeah, you're really rich.